My name is Kathleen Peterson, and I live just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And my role in the mystery school, that's an interesting question, actually, because I feel like I work in a number of different capacities. So I work in HQ, our headquarters of Modern Mystery School International for the Western World, which is located in Toronto. I work in the office, actually full-time in administration, but I also work as a guide, guiding people in the lineage, initiating them into the lineage. I teach classes, I work with my clients one-on-one, offering them sessions for empowerment. I think for me, it has been a way to find myself, to rediscover who I really am. And my experience with that and my mission with rediscovering of myself, for me, is intertwined with the lineage. The teachings that I have been offered, the great lessons in life that I have learned from the lineage have really helped me find my way back home to myself, to my true self. I actually tell this story every time when I teach Empower Thyself to share my experience, because I think a lot of people have had a very similar experience. So I like to say that the Modern Mystery School kind of found me, because I wasn't really searching, but the only reason I wasn't searching is because I had no idea. So at that time, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had 3 children. I was married, and I had accomplished everything that I had understood I was meant to accomplish in life. And I was still pretty young. I had my children when I was young, and I really thought that I was meant to just maintain. So I got married, I had a family, I had a house, we had a couple cars in the driveway, and I really thought that that was what I was supposed to do in life. And maybe the house got a little bit bigger, maybe the car got a little bit nicer in the driveway, and my role was to support my children in them growing up and meeting their needs. I never really stopped to think very much about what were my needs, and were they being met, until actually I attended what we call the Empower Thyself class, where you receive your first level of initiation into the lineage. And in that class, I said I was happy, because really, what more was I supposed to ask for in life? My children were healthy and life seemed pretty good, and I would have said that I was happy at that time. But what I realized later was I didn't really understand joy and what that meant in life, what it meant to feel and have joy. The things that brought me happiness were through my children, and I was very proud of them, and I was very happy to dedicate my life to them without ever really thinking very much about myself at all. And actually in that class, in this conversation I was having, the teacher said to me, "What if I tell you there's more?" And I have never forgotten that moment. And that was, as of this year, that was 15 years ago. And they asked me, "What if I tell you there's something more?" And I just was so confused. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And the answer that was given to me was this. And I was like, "Wait, but like, you can't just say that and then not tell me the answer." And they told me that I had to find that out for myself, but that there was more for me than what I might have understood at that time. And I really had no idea what that meant. I didn't really know how to go about finding it, but there was something in me that felt so excited that maybe there was more. Maybe my dream of helping people in the world, maybe I could find a way to do that. Because up until that point, I had no idea how to make it happen. And in my quiet moments, few and far between raising children, but maybe washing the dishes and looking out the kitchen window and thinking, I really have this desire inside of me to help people, but I had no idea how to do it. And after that moment, after, that seed was planted that there might be something more in the world, after that moment, things started to come together a little bit more for me as time moved on about what more could I do in the world, and maybe I had more to offer the world. You know, for me, being a mom was the be all and end all. It was the most important thing. And I took that job very seriously, and I still do. But I also learned that I mattered, and that what was important to me in life mattered. And for me to find true joy in myself, separate from being a mom, but just me as a person, that was something that was possible for me, that was okay to seek out my own empowerment, to seek out my own fulfillment. And I could do that at the same time as I was raising my children. Well, I can tell you in the beginning, I was very skeptical, really about everything. And it was through my own personal experience that I received the confirmation that I needed to know that this was real and that this was true. And I gave myself full permission to question anything and everything. And that was received amazingly from anybody that taught me a class, that I sat in a class. The questioning was welcomed. And I was along with being skeptical, I was very scared, actually. I think I had spent so much of my life hiding from who I really was, because I think I was just afraid. I was afraid to be me. And, you know, what if that wasn't okay? What if people didn't like me? So I was trying to be who I thought the world wanted me to be. So I started using what I learned with my children first, because they were also struggling to a degree. My oldest son was struggling in school, and the structure was very hard for him to fit into. And I had thought my job was to teach him to fit into the structure. But actually what I learned in the Empower Thyself class was more about what our potential is, what we as human beings living on this planet, to become connected with who we are on a spiritual level and express that in the world. And the importance of that made the day-to-day structure of fitting in with society seem less important to me. And I was able to work with my children in a different way, to focus on who are they as people? Who are they as spiritual beings? And how do I help them to connect those two things together so that they could be themselves and express themselves in the world and that be okay? So going into school and sitting in a desk for however many hours a day, sitting still and being quiet was so painful for my boys especially, that I started to understand it was okay. And I took the task on to explain to the teachers that for me, it was far more important that they grow into amazing beings of who they were meant to be, instead of being a good student. And so I went to task with a number of teachers to stand up for my children and say, no, who they are and them developing that was far more important to me than them being able to sit still and be quiet and to remember their times tables, which they did, let me tell you. But once I saw the results that they were getting, and I was seeing how these tools were helping them and were working with them, it gave me the courage to apply it to myself as well. And I credit what I learned in the Empower Thyself for what I was able to help my children do in their lives and the way I was able to support them. I credit that 100% to what I learned just in the Empower Thyself class alone. And then we can add many, many more years of teaching and classes after that that helped me in more and more ways. But those foundational teachings, they transformed me on every single level and really opened the door to me to live what I would call right now an amazing life. I remember the moments that the pieces started coming together, each one bit by bit. And I liken them to a jigsaw puzzle of my life. And before the mystery school found me, the puzzle that I was trying to put together of my life, the pieces that I was trying to find, it was like there was a million of them and they were so small and they were scattered everywhere. And to find even one was so hard. But actually what I received from healings and classes and initiations, it seemed like those puzzles all of a sudden expanded in size. And instead of looking for millions of them, it was more manageable. And I could feel those pieces coming in. And as I was doing the work, as I was serving, as I was applying the teachings into my life, I was gaining more and more benefit personally. I was getting more clarity on who I am and who I was meant to be in the world. And the vision of that is so much greater than I could have imagined for myself in the beginning. In the beginning, my vision for myself was raising my children, and then who knew what I was going to do with the rest of my life? I didn't really know. I didn't put any importance in me. And in learning that I had value and that I could help people in the world, and what that felt like to show somebody a different way, to help people to understand that they're enough. We as individuals are enough. We don't have to pretend to be anybody else. We don't have to hide. We could stand up and shine our light brightly in the world and help each other. So the more I did that, the more I wanted to do, and the greater the vision for my life became. And I would come to classes, but I would also ask to help. Can I carry supplies? Can I bring manuals in? Can I clean up at the end of the day? I just asked to be more involved and asked for responsibility, but because I wanted to have a piece in helping people to find what I was able to start finding for myself, and to expand their vision of their lives and the world, and what we can do when we really come together. So I asked more and more to help. And with that became more opportunity. And with that came more clarity for myself. And, one day somebody said something to me about, I think you'd make a really good guide. And I didn't understand what that meant, but something inside of me yelled out, yes, that's what you've been looking for. And so I went about to figure out what that would look like. How could I do that? What would that mean? And when I found out it meant greater responsibility and greater ownership of a piece of the mission, then I was all in. I think if we want to boil it down to, I don't know if I can boil it down to one or two things. Ultimately, for me, it's about empowering an individual, empowering a person. We want to bring what's necessary for empowerment of each individual, and that's different for everybody. We don't want to give somebody all the answers. We don't want to tell people how to think. We don't want to make people dependent on us for their own growth and development. We want to put that in your hands to help you to remember, to help people to wake up from what they might be hiding from in the world or what might be hidden to them, to realize that their potential is massive, and to begin to understand that and take ownership over it so that they can really be a captain of their own ship, so that they can decide, who do they want to be, not have somebody to decide that for them. I think that's ultimately, and through that we get to the next piece, which is peace. That when humanity can come from the place of empowerment as an individual, and through that work together, I think that brings peace. And the idea that we could possibly have that, I'm going to hope in my lifetime, but maybe not, maybe if it's in my children's lifetime. I believe that's possible. I've seen the shifts that happen when people become empowered. I see the shifts that happen when people understand their peace in the mission, and to begin to fulfill that, and the joy that brings to them and every person in their life. That shows me that it's possible to have peace. how many people have I seen grow into their true selves in all of these years? I would have to say it has to be in the thousands at this point. It has to be in the thousands. I have not seen one person come through the door of a mystery school class that has not received at least something, at least a little something, a glimmer. You can see when it happens. You can see when it happens. And sometimes we're scared. I was in the beginning, for sure. And sometimes that fear gets in the way of people stepping into their true power, stepping into who they really are. But I think the work is worth it, no matter what. No matter if 5 people or thousands of people or millions of people, if I had the ability in my lifetime to truly help one person, that's enough for me. Thankfully, I don't have to settle with one. Thankfully, I have been a part of helping many, many, many people to fulfill that part of them, to realize that part of them. But if it could only just be one, that would be terrific too. Why would Ipsissimus Dave help people? Is, it makes me smile. I'm almost ready to laugh because I've never seen him do anything else but. I've never seen him do anything else but help people at his own expense, using his own time and time again. That's all I see him do is help people. So why would he help this shelter? Because that's who he is. That's the kind of person that he is. He never looks at something on a surface level and think about a Band-Aid solution. He sees the whole picture. He sees everything that's involved. And for him, it's not good enough to do a little bit. Because why would you do a little bit when you can do a lot? So from what I've seen in everything that he does, his focus is on not just helping people, but truly helping people to bring change into their lives so that they can stand on their own 2 feet. They can stand tall and proud and heal from whatever has been hurting them, or understand life and themselves in a higher capacity so that they can take that out into the world and that they can help people. So his focus isn't just on, what can I do? His focus is on what can I do that can then help this person, help this person, help this person, so that we can see that around the world. The students that he works with around the world are in a dramatically better place in their lives now than when they started. And that's something that you'll hear over and over and over again, no matter who you talk to. The words working tirelessly, I think those apply to him on a huge level for sure. Where has he worked in the world? I'm not even going to hit all of them, I'm sure. South Africa, London, Brazil, the US, Ireland, you name it. I think he's been there. There's many countries I've forgotten at this point, I think. Anywhere that there is a need that he can help, he goes. I have not seen him say no. When somebody asks for help, I have not seen him say no yet. And sometimes I wonder if he helps people a little bit too much because he is so generous. And I have sat back and watched many, many times, and I've wondered to myself, why is he agreeing to help? He's been helping this person forever, and they seem to be receiving a lot of help and not doing a lot of giving. But he says yes every time because I think he believes that everybody has potential. And everybody deserves to have somebody in their corner. Everybody deserves to have somebody to stand up for them in life and to say, you're worth it, you're important to me. And I've witnessed that personally with thousands of students. Thousands of students. I've seen him give of his time nonstop. I think to the point where sometimes we have to say, okay, that's enough now. We need to get you some lunch, or, maybe you need a little bit of downtime. because he won't stop. As long as somebody needs something, he won't stop. A crazy sex cult to me is hilarious. That couldn't be further from the truth of what it is that we do. We're doing the complete opposite. We are working with people to help them to achieve their fullest potential in life, to feel empowered, to stand up for injustices in the world, and to bring good things. So to me, that couldn't be further from the truth. But what is a day-to-day life for us here is also a great question, because it's really different every single day. We work as a headquarters to support the teachers, the students, the guides, the initiates that are living around the world for whatever it is that they need in their lives. So if they're interested in getting connected with a practitioner that works in their area, we make that connection for them. If a guide is teaching a class in their area and they need some help and some support, we look after them in what it is that they need. We are working tirelessly to put on programs around the world so that people have access to this information, to these teachings, should they wish to receive it. They can attend these programs and receive these teachings and these handing downs so that they can then go back to their home bases and apply those into their lives, into their personal lives. So the capacity that we work is very varied. We might be working with hotel locations to book space, to be able to house programs. We're doing registration for students that are interested in coming, discussing with them what kind of classes can they take, what does that class offer for them. Really anything that you can want and need, we'll offer that. So a program, when we use that word, we're talking about a collection of classes that we'll put together. Many of our students fly in from international locations. So the idea here is that we put classes together so that they can come in and experience as much as they want in one trip, so that they're not coming in and out on a consistent basis. So we're bringing people in for a certain amount of time for classes that they want to attend, and then they head on home. So a program for us could be 1 week, it could be 2 weeks, and students that come in will partake of whichever days they choose to attend. So they might choose to come to a Healers Academy where they'll learn how to offer a life activation. And for that, they'll come and they'll spend 5 days, and then they'll go home. And if they choose to offer the life activations at home, they do. They may come back to us again, or they may not. It can go either way. And there's any number of different classes that we can put together that offer insight, or classes that they can take where they can learn healing modalities. It just depends on what it is that they're looking for. Not everybody's looking for the same thing. And so we'll put that together so that they can come in and they can have that experience. There's a great deal of magic to have the ability to be in a room with people that have similarities with you. Common interests is sometimes hard to find in the world. Sometimes finding somebody who has the same values as you do is very difficult. So the ability to come in and spend time with people that have common interests is very empowering for a lot of people. And many people have said, it makes them really feel like they're at home. And that's a big part of the magic of the program is to coming in and to sharing the experience with people, meeting people from all over the world, and knowing that there are many people out there in the world that are just like you, that have had the same experiences, that have had the same struggles. And maybe you meet some that have been in your place, but they've overcome those. And they can help you to understand how you can also do that for yourself. So in that way, a program operates a little bit like a container for magic. And when we come together like that and we join together as a group of people that want good things in the world, that energy all collected in one place, we can't help but feel that. and to be inspired by each other, and to feel like that energy of goodness and light is growing within us and expanding and helping us to understand that we can do more, that we can be safe in reaching out to other people in the world and expressing our true selves because we're not alone. What I was the most afraid of was allowing people to see the true me that I'd been hiding for so long. The me that is a little bit vulnerable. The me that wants to be all that I think I can be, but has been told that that is crazy, or the things that I believe in are made up, or that just maybe I'm not good enough to offer any value to anyone. These kinds of things are what kept me hiding. These are the things that I was the most afraid of the judgment, of the finger pointing. And, you know, it's an interesting thing that a lot of times when people find out the kind of work that we do, the classes that we teach and the sessions that we offer, for some really strange reason, the first word that comes to their mind is cult. And, you know, it's always seemed really curious to me. And I've never understood that, because in all of my experiences in 15 years, it couldn't be further from the truth. I think it's exactly the opposite of what I understand a cult to be. I have never understood a cult that offered empowerment to people, that wanted good things for them, that helped them to overcome anything that was getting in their way in life, to be safe, to just be you. And so, you know, whenever that word is thrown around to me, at this point now, I just kind of roll my eyes like, oh, here we go again, because it's so far from what the actual experience is that it becomes laughable. I think it's an easy word to use for something that you don't understand. And if something seems a little bit outside of the box that society has created for people, when you function a little bit outside of that, you earn a label right away. And that label might be crazy, it might be weird, you know, it could be anything and everything. And when you see a group of people functioning together with a common goal, on a mission together, and you don't understand what that could possibly mean, I think it's a really easy word to throw out there for something that you just don't understand what it is. And anybody that I've known that has come in and asked questions, that has come a little bit skeptical, I was totally skeptical at first. Once they really get to see what the Modern Mystery School is about, they also laugh at this concept of being a cult, right? And you know, so here's the interesting thing. When I was growing up, I wasn't raised to be particularly religious. When I asked a question, my mom would give me different answers. She would say, well, this religion believes this, and this one believes this. And she would give me kind of the fuller picture that she could. And I really questioned what I had experienced because of what I had seen when I had gone. I had gone to different churches with my friends. If I was at a sleepover or something, and then you would go with them to church on a Sunday morning. And I really wondered about this idea of if you went to church, you were a good person. And if you didn't, then, you know, we would maybe whisper a little bit about you, or you would be frowned upon or looked down upon from other churchgoers. And for some reason, that's acceptable. And I questioned a lot growing up about God. And could there really be a God when there were so many terrible things happening in the world? Because if there really was a God, then would he really allow these things to happen? So I questioned a lot when I started taking classes. And these questions were welcomed. And I was never allowed to do that if I was in a church setting. I was never allowed to ask questions. I was told what to believe. And in this dynamic with the Modern Mystery School, asking questions and finding your own answers is actually encouraged and is never frowned upon. And I was able to disagree with anything that I wanted to disagree with. If it didn't feel right for me at the time, nobody judged me. There was no judgment. There was no demand to think a certain way about something. And so for me, I can think of a lot of other organizations that we might look at as having a framework that we could call a cult. But that's the complete opposite of what I've experienced with the Modern Mystery School. So I think it's just a sad way to pick on like-minded people that get together and do good things. One of the greatest things that I have been able to do, and I credit that 100% to the lineage holders, to the Third Order, to Founder Goodney, Ipsissimus Dave, Ipsissimus Dave, and all of the master teachers that I have attended classes from. The Council of 12, there have been many of them, and there's been many more. They taught me that it was safe to open my heart. And the Third Order in particular have supported me through many challenges in my life, in my quest to understand myself, in my quest to feel safe as a woman, to express myself on a deep level, to open my heart, really. And so for me, the heart is everything. Everything that we do, every class that we teach, every program that we develop, every person that comes in the door, our desire is to express our heart to them and to help them to feel safe enough to open their hearts to the world as well. And that can be a terrifying thing for many people who have not had a safe experience in life. And it's my feeling that much of humanity is in that place of feeling the only way to protect themselves is to close their heart. And quite truthfully, the opposite is true. When I got brave enough to open my heart is when I started to experience true magic. And from that place of having an open heart, I'm able to connect with other people and to help them to understand that it's safe to open their heart too. And I know I would not have gotten to this place on my own without the support of the team that I've had at my back that have helped me transition through many different phases in my life, that helped me to have the courage to step out of the things in my life that were not serving me, but were hurting me, to stand up for myself and to have the courage to set boundaries and to demand the best for myself because I deserved it. And I did those things with the full knowledge that I had the support of Ipsissimus Dave, Founder Goodney, and Ipsissimus Dave at my back for anything that I needed. That they wanted nothing more than for me to feel that safety so that I could accomplish everything that I was meant to accomplish. And they don't want it, but I will never be able to thank them enough. And so the way I thank them is by trying to help other people do the same thing that they did for me. That's how I thank them. The team at Modern Mystery School HQ Toronto is my family. And I don't say that lightly. I grew up in a family with 3 brothers, and I always wanted sisters. and I didn't have any. I was the youngest, the only girl, the youngest. And I wanted sisters for a long time until I became a teenager. And then I saw my friends with their sisters, and I decided I didn't want sisters anymore. But that came full circle again as I got older and I was raising a family. I missed that idea of sisterhood. And that's actually one of the most amazing things that I found in the Modern Mystery School is I found a sisterhood. And that is the team that I work with every day in the office. We all have our areas of expertise that we work in, but we also work together. And I know that there's no task that we can't handle together because we're a family. And the role that I play within that is everything to me. I don't want to do this work alone. I don't want to do this work without them. And that sisterhood has expanded. It's expanded for me around the world. I've been able to have the great fortune to travel into other areas where Modern Mystery School classes are offered, and to meet initiates from those areas, places like Ireland and Brazil and London and Japan and into the US and of course still here at home. Those areas that I've gone into, I have found my sisterhood there too. And it's an amazing feeling to know that I am connected with people all over the world. And that if I ever needed anything, I could call any one of them and that they would help me without a shadow of a doubt at a moment's notice. And I would do the same for them. And having a team like that, having people in your life that you can count on no matter what, is so important. And I want to bring that to as many people as I can as well. And so growing that sisterhood is something that has been very fulfilling for me and has helped to fill a piece of my heart that had been missing for a long time. So the team here, I don't ever want to do this work without them. So the Council of 12 are all women that I have had the great pleasure of sitting as a student in their classes and have been a huge inspiration to me for many years. I have looked to them for metaphysical understanding, of course, because they all offer a wealth of understanding in those areas. Really anything that you could want to know, you could go to one of them and find out. But I've also looked to them as a vision of what it means to be a woman, because they all embody that in a very different way. And their ability to express their true selves in the world and to give the support and the love and the encouragement that they give has been something that's been very inspirational to me and has helped me to understand who I am as a woman. Not that I need to be them. That is never the goal. The goal is that the inspiration is there for you to express yourself and what that looks like for you. And the Council of 12 have been great examples for me in my life in that. They are all so smart and loving and caring and supportive. They have been great role models to me. And they have also helped me to overcome challenges in my life where I wasn't sure I could do it. I wasn't sure that I was brave enough to work through what might be getting in my way. One of the council members that has been in my corner nonstop for as long as I've known her is Divina, Franca. And she has a magic about her that she can really see you. And she can really see what your experience is in the moment, no matter how good you think you are at hiding it. And a good 10 years ago, I shifted my dynamic in life. So I had been a stay-at-home mom, and I was in a relationship that was not serving me for a very long time. And I got the courage to make a change that I knew would be better for me and ultimately better for my children, but I was very scared. And I was very scared to hurt my children in the way that I felt that they deserved to have a mother and father that were together. Because I thought that was really the only way to properly raise children. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me now, but in the moment I was convinced that if I was going to be a good mom, that I would give my children that. And on my journey of empowerment and understanding that my experience in life mattered, and me expressing my true self mattered, and it wasn't only about my children, and as important as they are to me, it was also okay to look after myself. And that would ultimately help me to look after them, because I was showing them an example that I wasn't happy with. And so I got the courage to make the changes in my life that I needed that were for my benefit. And in doing that, I was really worried about what the experience of my children would be, and if they would be okay, and if they would be worried that things were their fault, or if they had only done this, then this wouldn't happen. It's just sometimes how kids think. And I wanted to protect them from that. And so I went about holding everything together for all of us. And I had this idea in my mind of what it meant to be a good mother. And I needed to go to work full time so that I could support us. And the experience shifted a little bit. And I was really struggling with the idea that maybe I wasn't being a good mother. And I was holding all of that inside. And one day, Divina Franca said to me, Kathleen, how are you doing? And I couldn't hold it together anymore. The moment she asked me that question, from this amazing magical place that she has of really seeing you, I knew that I was safe to express to her what I was thinking, even though I didn't want to say it out loud. Sometimes when we're afraid of things, I think we feel like if we say it out loud, it makes it real. And so we convince ourselves by keeping it inside that maybe it's not real. And with her, I felt safe enough to express everything that I was feeling. And in the form of any great teacher in the Modern Mystery School, she didn't give me any answers, but she asked me questions so that I could find my own answers. And her question to me in that moment was, but what does being a good mother mean? And her asking me that question allowed me to see it from a different perspective, because I had created a story in my mind that there was only one way to be a good mother. And that wasn't true. And so I had created an illusion in my mind, and I was beating myself up for not being able to meet that illusion. And the truth was, there's a lot of great ways to be a good mother. There isn't just one way. And the fact that my children knew that they were loved no matter what, that they were safe, that they had somebody on their side that would be there for them no matter what happened, maybe that's what it meant to be a good mother. Maybe I didn't have to be home at every moment of the day when they were there, and in order to meet their needs, in order to be considered a good mother. Maybe it didn't need to be that way. Maybe the fact that I was going out and earning a living and coming home fulfilled from that job, and being able to be present with them, and being able to show them that it's okay to be your true self, and that, you should love yourself and have people around you that love and support you and want the best for you. Maybe setting that example was also a way to be a good mother. And I don't know how long it would have taken me to come to that place if she had just asked me that question that day. And that for me is one of the key moments of transformation in my life. Because she was there for me, because she cared enough to ask me how I was doing and to take her time to support me in what I was working through, whether or not it made sense to her or not, she was able to see where I was coming from and to support me through that process to be able to get to a place of a new level of understanding. There's not always one answer for something. There's a lot of different ways of looking at things in the world. And maybe, just maybe, I was going to be okay. And she was right. Now I have my amazing life. My children are amazing children. And I know that what I've learned from the Modern Mystery School, the empowerment that I have received, has helped me to be an amazing mother to them. And the great thing about that is my children will agree.